Hello and welcome back to Thursday Morning with LindaZ. Today I have a finished project. This is actually my mock-up, and I just wanted to show of the Soul Blossom blouse from Sew to Grow, Lindsay Ray's blouse. I love this blouse. I am really looking forward to making it in different substrates. This is actually a cotton muslin, and I'm actually going to be, even though this was supposed to be a mock-up, I am actually going to be wearing this summer. So I love this blouse. I actually got the right size. I chose the size 10 for me, and it's a little roomy, but I'm really liking the way it fits in this cotton. And then I just wanted to show you some of the things that I learned along the way. And so I'd like to just get to a few details today about that, and then we could work on the sleeve.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Bernina has launched a brand new, wonderful top-of-the-line machine. It's been over 15 years in the making. It's called the Bernina 990, and we are absolutely ecstatic in what it is going to do. We don't know a lot about it, but we know enough that everybody's putting their $1,000 down, and they haven't seen much of it, but they know it's going to be great.
You know it's going to be great.
It really is.
Because Bernina is always great. So
and the charter membership is just a wonderful thing. So come learn more about it on June 11th, and I'm going to...
Because the sleeve is the most interesting part of this blouse, I think. You've got this really cute bow, which is a tie, right? So it's a tie that we've added onto the bottom of the cuff of the sleeve, and you just tie this in the bow. And so it sticks really well in a cotton. So, and I imagine it will be a little bit more like flowing in the rayons or the silks that we're going to be showing also. And so just really, really a cute little cuff with a slit opening there that you can see. Very, very cute. I really love the way it turned out. So just wanted to show you. I did the hem, you can see here. It's pretty straight. What did I use? I used my handy dandy band roll, and that's another video that we have on our YouTube channel, so you can go ahead and look at that. Even on a curve, I used the band roll. So there is a curve here on this hem, and I think this turned out pretty straight, pretty nice. I used for both sides of the hem this band roll, and so you might want to look at that video. It was really, really easy to do. So boom, boom, got that one done. So two flip overs, and it looks really great. So why don't we go over a couple of details now, because I did notice a few things that I wanted to share with you guys about, so for example, the marking pen. I was using a marking pen that was a water-soluble marking pen, and it's kept showing back up again. And there's a couple marks on here that I don't know if you can see them, but don't we all show our work? Yeah, so there's this blue dot. I keep putting water on it, and it keeps kind of showing back up. And somebody said to me, well, did you press it before you took it out with water? And I said, yes, I think I did press this seam at one point before I took that mark out. So I guess that would be a learning curve, would be to not press this before you actually put water on it. And once you're done using these marks, just put water on them if you have a water-soluble pen right away before you heat set it into. So then I'm thinking maybe I'm going to use some starch, how do you say Javel in English again? Bleach. We use some bleach, but then someone said that could become, on this particular white, it could take it out. So I guess it's a learning experience to use a pen that you know will disappear. So I've got this other pen that I'm going to try on my going forward practices, and it's the Quilter Select self-erase marker. Yes, self-erase marker. So the purple side is the marking, and then this is white side, it's the eraser side. So you can actually mark and then erase. So I'm going to definitely use that on this next one that I have here. And the only thing I'm going to work on today is a sleeve, because it does take a while to sew this together. And so I just wanted to show you how I went through so I did pre-wash all of my fabrics. I pre-washed them, and I actually put this rayon in the dryer. So it came out really nice. Wash dry, that means it's never going to shrink anymore. And I think it did shrink up a certain percentage. So my tip to you guys is buy, a couple inches more, a quarter of a yard more, right? So that when it does wash and dry, for a blouse like this, you want to make sure that you have enough yardage to lay out everything, especially if there's a print and a repeat and you want to like fussy cut. These are faces on here, so I'm actually just going with the flow because I want to use as much of the fabric as I can. So I pushed up as close to the selvage as I can, the two cuff pieces that are on the fold here, and the sleeve itself turns out I flipped it to see the other side where the faces show up on the actual sleeve here, and they're fine. So I'm happy with, and I hope my daughter Morgan will be happy with it because I'm actually making this for her. So I hope she will. And then so you can see whenever there's a grain line that, yeah, we're lining that up with the selvage, which is right here, the selvage. And so that line is there. My line here on my bias for the slit of the sleeve is the line with the grain is parallel to that grain line, which is my selvage line. And I've got those two lines right here on these two pieces for the bow. So these are the two bows. And they are on the fold, so they will be doubled in the length. And then we do actually sew it down hot dog style, the long style. So that does make it become pretty narrow, and that's what you see in this finished, how narrow it does become, this actual piece. With all the seam allowances and folded over halfway, it does become pretty narrow. So it's a really great width, and I have to commend our friend LindaZ on her beautiful pattern because I really enjoyed working with this pattern. Okay, so without further ado, so I've pinned all of this down pretty flat, and now all I have to do is cut around the outside of my pattern pieces that I have here, and they are two layers thick, right? So here I am just using these big scissors. The tip of the day is keep these big scissors flat on your cutting surface as you are cutting so that you can keep your accuracy as much as possible. And we just trim right on the outside of this pattern piece. Go right around the sleeve. And it's true, I did see that some people do use, for these fluid, really slippery kind of fabrics, they do use a different method for cutting. They'll put a layer of paper underneath the two layers of fabric, a paper on top of the two layers of fabric, and then they'll put their pattern piece that you're going to cut out on top of that sandwich. And then they cut around, because what that does is it holds everything flat and it doesn't allow that fabric to move. I'm living dangerously here, and I'm actually cutting without that method. But you could go ahead and do that anytime you want in the comfort of your own home. You can do that method. I would say that is a good idea to try it. And I may do that method for the silk. I'm going to show you a couple other fabrics I'd like to make this blouse in, because I really like the blouse. And it's kind of like some of the other patterns that we carry at the store. You've got the ability to make them in all kinds of different fabrics. And every time you change fabrics, it has a different look to it. So it just makes it look like it's even a different pattern sometimes. So I'm excited to see what this looks like with a little bit more of a drape than the cotton has in my mock-up. With this, it's going to be, so there we've got our two sleeves are now cut out. I've got my pattern weights there. So those guys, this sleeve is now cut out. Now let's get over here to these cuffs. Cut those in the rotary cutter. And this is like, you know, with anything with sewing, especially when you're quilting. I mean, I've quilted so much, and the one rule that I've learned from all the teachers I've learned from over the years is that precision is very important. So when you're cutting, cutting is super important. These pieces do have to be cut properly. And so even a slight difference, I could even see when I was trying to trace around the size that I'm doing, that to go from an 8 to a 10 at some corners of these garments is very slight difference. So if your cutting is not accurate, you could be cutting a different size than you were hoping to. Let me get this bias strip, these two bias strips cut. Okay, so let's just finish up this piece of the bias strip. I have one last straight line to cut. Okay, all right. So now I pull my pins out of these pieces. And I will keep this. Come over to the other side. Okay, so I've got all of my pieces cut out here. Now I just want to take away, so I want to make sure that if there are any markings at all, that I have them on the actual fabric. If I need to make any of these markings, so for example, on this particular piece, I need to mark both the front and the back, both sleeves, I mean. I need to mark where the slit is going to be. And that is right here in the center of the bottom of the sleeve. So what I want to do is kind of mark where that is, the center there. And from there, I've got my 4-inch mark. I'm going to go straight up. So from the bottom of my sleeve, I have my 4 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go up and I'm going to mark that slit for 4 inches. So that's my 4-inch slit. Looks like it goes all the way to the top of that black mark right there. So I'll know that for sure on this side. And then I want to flip it to the other side, the middle of the sleeve marked. This is already, I can see how different this is compared to the cotton that I used, the muslin. So here I just finished marking where my 4 inches from the slit at the center of the sleeve, the bottom of the center of the sleeve will be. And it looks like we have a VIP guest.
Oh.
Hey, look who's here, everybody.
I don't know if it's VIP.
Yeah, come on in. We have LindaZ, the VIP, everyone,
Hello,
who's passing
everyone.
by in her summer attire here.
I was just out coming from the other store. And
So welcome. Yeah, welcome.
thank
Come
you.
on in. Yeah. So we were just making a blouse here, and
well, I've got one that I've made on. It's
the
a rayon, and when I do, I love these rayons. They're absolutely fabulous. And Debbie, I love what you've done here.
I'm going to give that to Morgan.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
she'll
can
love
just
that
see
for her birthday,
with
yeah.
this. Oh, that's just great. Well, one of the things that I do quite often when I make one of these shirts is I try, this is the little something, well, it's actually my own pattern, but it is one that you could do for the little something. Or what's the name of it?
It's the Bondi top.
Oh, the Bondi, yeah. You could definitely, it's
Tilt
just
over your
real
microphone
simple.
there. I think
But
it's fine.
this has a little cap sleeve on it.
It's really
it's just
cute.
a real simple
So that's
thing to
actually a
do.
Moda, one of the Moda rayon batiks. So
right.
that's really, really pretty. I love the way that's so pretty, that color, the colors in that. They look like watercolored painted
They
on there,
do.
don't they?
Yeah, it kind of
very
reminds
pretty.
me. Well, since I just came from France,
You did,
and
didn't you?
her apartment, she let me stay in it. I wish she had been there, but she wasn't. I went with my sister and my brother-in-law, and it was just so much fun. And I got to spend a whole day in the Musée d'Orsay, which was just a fabulous thing. And
that's
it
great.
reminds me of all these colors.
The Impressionists, yeah.
Yeah, and what's so cool about being there is that she sent me over to check it out. Because, did you tell them
Yeah,
what we're
because
doing?
we are going to give a free stay
Yep.
for 5 days in my condo in Paris
Yep.
to one of the people who purchased the new pre-launched
Yep.
Bernina 990 machine.
The new chapter, the
And-
new charter members.
Yes,
and
that's right.
One of these lucky people, we had a big cocktail party last night.
We did.
And we're having another one Tuesday, June 11th. So come join us. Those of you that are out of state, call us. Maybe we can send you some videos on it. And you might have a wonderful chance. You have a very strong chance of winning.
I know.
Of coming to
We were
Paris.
joking, would you like to come with Tracy and I when we go to get ready, the apartment ready?
Oh, sure.
For
I'd be
letting
glad
people
to.
stay in there?
Yeah,
So
I'd
we
be
need to go
Yeah.
beforehand to get it ready, everybody.
would be
Yeah,
great.
we do need to go there.
Sure,
So,
because if you don't know what we're talking about, Bernina has launched a brand new, wonderful, top-of-the-line machine. It's been over 15 years in the making. It's called the Bernina 990, and we are absolutely ecstatic in what it is going to do. We don't know a lot about it, but we know enough that everybody's putting their $1,000 down, and they haven't seen much of it, but they know it's going to be great.
know it's gonna
and
be great.
It really is.
Because
gonna be
Bernina is always
fabulous.
great, so
and the charter membership is just a wonderful thing. So come learn more about it on June 11th, and I'm going to
Mosey on along, are you? Yeah. Okay, well,
I'll be
thanks
back.
for stopping by.
Yes, Nick, I'm going to be doing some videos next week for you. We're both Debbie and I. She's doing such a great job.
Ah,
on
we're
these
going to
videos.
continue having more fun with
we
sewing,
are.
right?
So we'll do some
Learning
some-
together
right.
with everyone, right?
I have a whole bunch of new ideas for some quilting blocks, some really cool things that I found when I was in Italy this year, and also when I was in the very wonderful warm weather of Arizona this winter. So we have some really fun things in store for you. So
good.
look for them. Okay.
Okay.
We'll see
Thanks
you
for stopping
guys.
by.
Have a great summer. We'll see you
Mom.
soon next
Yeah.
week.
So I've got my front side and my back side on this sleeve, and I've got my front side and my back side marked on this other sleeve. Now I can go ahead and remove all the pins from my pattern piece, and we will be left with just the pattern, just the fabric. Okay, and I can just go ahead and take these off as well. Just make sure that I don't have any markings on here. I do not. Oh, except for, yes, I do. I have my stop-start marking right here. So I want that on this side, and I want that on the other side. My stop-start marking. And let's go ahead and mark the stop on the other cuff. Excuse me. Okay, got that marked. Take all the pins out. So these become very long. I want my cuffs right side together. And then they want us to pin and sew from the corners to the stopping corner mark. Okay, so when we are finished with that, I will come back. I think we can pause for the moment. And I will just be pinning this, and when I'm all pinned, I will come back. Okay, so I've pinned both of the bow tie cuffs, and I've actually sewn one already, and I'm gonna go over here to my Juki 18, and I'm gonna sew the second one. So I've got a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance that they've asked us to sew with for most of this pattern. So I've gone ahead and put down, I was looking for my washi tape, but I just had a piece of embroidery tape. And so I just laid that along the line that is the 3/8 of an inch to the right of my needle. So that's very helpful for some of this sewing for me. So maybe you could try something like that. They have really cute tapes from Japan that can also be stuck on the bed of the machine if you don't have a specific line that is dedicated to the 3/8 of an inch on your machine, like this one does not. So I just decided to add a little bit of tape on there to help me out. So here we go. Just going to go along that all the way to the mark, the first mark. Going over the corner, turning at the corner. Removing the pins as I go. And then I have a pin here at my first mark. And I will go to that mark and then just do reverse a couple stitches and then just stop it, scissor cut, pick up at the next mark, go down here to my next mark and remove that first pin. Stitch a couple of stitches, reverse. So then I just go all the way to the edge of this second half of this cuff, removing the pins as I go, making sure it's pretty even. It's incredible how this fabric is definitely a little bit more slippery than the canvas. Just one more stitch maybe on that direction. And then I just stitch off the point. Okay, scissor cut that. All right, and then they want us to trim, because we're going to flip this right side out. So they want us to trim a little bit here just to get the corners so that when I do pull that right side out, the bulk is removed by just trimming it away here. Got that trimmed away. Okay, throw that excess fabric away. And then I can use my handy dandy turning tool here from R&K turning tool. This is really great. Now, first, just use my fingers a little bit here to get it all the way to the end there. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing here. Can we see, Nikki? Okay. Then I just sort of poke that through as much as I can, lower, here. And then I poke it through, and then I just sort of pull it. And then I go to the end. Kind of run it along that seam, so that end is done. Go to the other end. Do the same thing. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you one more time, I guess, and then I'll have us cut the video for me doing the second one. So yeah, I'm just running it here along my finger first. Then when I get to the end, I sort of just poke this through. This one is a lot easier than my cotton was because it's such a soft fabric, right? So then I just sort of run it along that seam to get that second point. And then, so I'll do the other two, and then we'll just meet you at the iron because we want to be able to press this. So here I am over at the iron, and I am ironing down the cuff, just the part, trying to roll that seam open as much as possible and get this really pretty cuff flattened out here. So that looks pretty good. I can steam it if I want. And then they say that this opening, we should fold it down to get that seam allowance folded down in there. And again, that was 3/8 of an inch, so we can just sort of measure the 3/8 of an inch. And press that on. It was a lot easier on the cotton. This is not liking the process as much as my cotton was on my mock-up, but it will behave, it will obey, and we will get this to look just right. You might want to take your measuring tool to see exactly what 3/8 of an inch is, because that's not what I'm used to. Just shy of 1/4 of an inch, right? No, just shy of 1/2 of an inch. This is the LindaZ iron, for any of you who don't know that. Love this LindaZ. It's a boiler that's built into the board here. And if I need to steam, I can steam. It's just a really great professional iron here. Gotta love it. All right, so that will be beautiful as a bow. I can't wait to see this blouse. I do hope my daughter likes it when we get it done here. Okay, so I will go ahead and do the second one, and then I'll meet you back over at the table when I'm done with this. Okay, so I've got the two cuffs all pressed and ready, set aside for when I'm done with the rest of the sleeves. Let me set them way out of the way over there. And then I've gone ahead and pressed the two biased the pieces that are going to go into the slit of the bottom of the sleeve. So let me take and separate the two sleeves out. We'll work with this one first, actually. And I will put this one over here to do after. So the first thing I want to do is trim up the center of my slit. I've got those 3 lines, but I'm trimming up the center of it. And then at the top of it, I have a V that I have drawn in there. So I'll trim into that V. And that way I can open that up. Okay, so I've got this open like this. I'm holding this open, and I am going to place then this bigger section here, right side facing right side. Center it basically along that piece. And the raw edge to the raw edge. And I'm going to flip this then. And I'm going to sew along that raw edge. Okay, so let's get that set up. And I can actually pin that. And so I've got this pinned now all across here, and I'm going to stitch at 3/8 of an inch along, and I am actually going to reverse right where the trimmed part is closest to my stitch line. So I will and reinforce the stitching at those 2 spots. So let's go over to the machine and do that. Pull this guy out and make sure that this is actually stitching on there. Last couple pins here. Scissor cut, that's done. And then I'll come over here to the working table. So that's where I just stitched, is along here. Then I'm going to pull, actually I can come in and trim a little bit. So I know I don't need any longer than my sleeve, so I can actually trim this off to exactly the width of the sleeve on both sides. And then I am going to flip this. Oh no, I want to trim this first, sorry about that. Let's trim my seam allowance. Trim this seam allowance. Just a very small amount, like an eighth of an inch. I'm trimming. So I have modified the pattern just for this particular technique of adding the bias to the slit of the sleeve. Because I think just having it in one piece instead of 2 pieces is a lot easier. I'm flipping over the seam so that my fold is then folded over to the other side of the seam that I just sewed. And I did trim it down to be able to just fold this over. I'm going to pin this in place with my long pins. It's a little bit harder, but still doable. And then I will stitch along the edge, right along the edge of this bias, all along the edge. So when I'm done with that, I will come back and I'm going to go over to the machine and top stitch right along the edge of that fold. It's just at that center point that I'm careful not to have too much gathers behind. And then just keep it right along the edge, as close to the edge as possible. Okay, let's sew the sleeve up the side because this is the actual finishing point of the the sleeve to add the cuff. So let's actually, right sides together along this length here. We're going to sew at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance from bottom to top. And then we're supposed to serge it, but let me just go ahead and just stitch that at 3/8 of an inch over here. Normally I would want a pin or a clip or something, but I'm just able to wing it here and just stitch that up the side of the sleeve. Like I said, normally I would have either clipped or pinned those, but I was wanting to get this done quickly. And then I would cover with a cover hem, or not a cover hem, with a regular overlock. I would do with the serger to keep these edges from fraying. I would go along here right now, and I will do that later. So I just wanted to show you how I'm going to do this sleeve. So I'll pull that right sides out, pretty side out. I will bring the sleeve so that I can see the seam that I just stitched in the middle of the slit. And this is where I will be pinning from that center fold that I saw earlier, the center of this cuff. I will open it up and I will slide the cuff into, slide the sleeve into the cuff, close it at that center point, and then pin all the way around. So I'm pinning it in, it's sandwiched in there, my sleeve is. And I will go this way, sandwich it in, pin it, all the way over. Take a couple pins here, one more on the end, and then I go the other way. Again, I think of this as like a puzzle piece. I'm putting a puzzle together. So basically what I'm going to do now is, starting from right here, I'm going to top stitch close to the edge, all the way around this bow-tied cuff, all the way around the cuff, all the way around, and then back to my start point. We'll start and stop. Can you see that, what I'm talking about pretty well? Going all the way around it. And then I stop, and then basically this is done. The sleeve is done. So when I'm done with that, and I'm not going to do it today because I would like to be able to overlock that seam, but this is what it will look like once that is over, that stitching is done. Isn't this a cute sleeve? That's what it will look like when it's attached to the garment without the pins. Isn't that cute? All right, so I know that was in a nutshell, making the sleeve and adding the bow. And that's how you do it. It's very simple, and it's such a cute pattern. I love it. And I will show you the finished product maybe next time as I'm going into another demo of something else. Have a wonderful day. Sorry it took so long. See you next time.